Clara wasn't the kind of girl most people noticed in town. At 16, she was bigger than the other girls her age, her clothes often dusty from working long mornings on her family's farm. The farm was their whole life, rows of corn, chickens that scattered at her footsteps, and evenings filled with chores that left her hands rough but her heart steady. She wasn't weak, she wasn't lazy, she was strong in ways no one could see. But in town, strength wasn't what people looked for in a girl. At school, the whispers never stopped. Fat farm girl, cow, tractor tires for legs, words they thought were funny, words that burned Clara's insides every single day. She never told her father. Not because she didn't trust him, but because she knew what he was, what he used to be. A Marine who had served in places he never spoke of. A man with scars on his knuckles and a gaze that could freeze a grown man in his tracks. Clara loved him too much to let him carry her pain. One Saturday evening, Clara convinced herself she wouldn't let the bullies control her anymore. She saved a little money from farm chores and decided to go into town for a simple treat, an old diner that smelled of coffee and frying bacon. She sat at the corner booth, ordered a milkshake, and told herself, "This time I'll just enjoy the night." But bullies always have a way of finding the quiet ones. The door jingled, and 3 boys from her school swaggered in. Football jackets, loud voices, and smirks that made her heart sink. They spotted her immediately. Well, one of them sneered loud enough for the whole diner to hear. "Look who's hogging the corner booth." Did they run out of troughs at the farm? Clara. The laughter that followed was sharp, cruel. Clara's face burned, but she kept her eyes on her milkshake, her hands trembling around the glass. She thought if she stayed quiet, maybe they'd get bored. But silence only made them braver. One of the boys slid into her booth uninvited, too close. "Careful, Clara, this seat's only rated for 200 pounds. Don't break it." His friends howled, pulling out their phones, recording. Her chest tightened. Her throat closed. She wanted to leave, but her legs felt like stone. And then, without warning, one of them snatched her milkshake and poured it over her plate of fries. Another leaned in and whispered, "You'll never be anything but a joke." The diner had gone quiet. People stared, but no one moved. Clara's eyes welled with tears, her hands curled into fists she didn't dare raise. She wished, just for once, someone would stand up for her. At that exact moment the door opened again. A shadow filled the frame. It was her father. Chapter 2. Jack Reynolds wasn't a man who made an entrance lightly. Years as a Marine had carved him into something the world recognized before he even spoke. His presence alone silenced the diner more than the bullying had. He had only come to meet Clara, thinking it was time to share a rare father-daughter meal. What he walked into stopped him cold. His daughter, red-eyed, shrinking under the weight of 3 boys who thought they were kings of the town. And everyone else, grown adults, watching, doing nothing. Jack's jaw clenched. His boots echoed as he walked in, slow and steady. The boys noticed him but mistook his silence for weakness. "Oh, look! Clara's backup has arrived." One of them chuckled. "What are you gonna do, old man? Milk the cows at us?" Jack didn't answer. He reached the booth, set his hand gently on Clara's shoulder, and whispered just loud enough for her to hear, "You don't deserve this." "Not one bit." Her eyes widened. For the first time that night, she felt safe. Then Jack turned to the boys. His voice, low and razor-sharp, cut through the air. "You 3 think you're tough. Try humiliating someone who can fight back. You picked the wrong table tonight." The boys laughed nervously. One of them puffed his chest. "We're not scared of some farmer." Jack leaned forward, his eyes locked on the ringleader. "I'm not some farmer. I'm the man who spent 20 years teaching Marines how to break down enemies bigger, faster, and meaner than you'll ever be. And I promise you, if you lay another hand, another insult, or even another look on my daughter, you'll wish you never walked through that door." The diner was silent. You could hear the hum of the neon sign outside. The boys shifted uncomfortably, their smirks faltering. Jack didn't raise his voice, didn't lift a fist. His words alone carried the weight of years of discipline, rage, and control. Finally, the ringleader muttered, "We were just joking," then laughed somewhere else. Jack growled, his glare unmoving. The boys scrambled, nearly tripping over each other as they fled the diner, their bravado shattered. When the door closed behind them, Jack turned back to Clara. His expression softened. He slid into the booth beside her and said, "You never have to fight alone. Not while I'm here."